and Dr. Guiberson, the Director of Communication Disorders. Robin Lopez sitting in the back, she's the current Arapaho language instructor. Wayne Seahair, he was the first Northern Arapaho language instructor here at the University of Wyoming, but now he's the director of the Northern Arapaho Language, Culture, and Commission. And Journey LeBeau, when we first got done with this book in last summer, she was a senior at Wyoming Indian High School, but now she is a freshman at Northwestern University in Oklahoma. And so I wanted to talk about culturally consistent materials and why I think they're important. If I can take this off. There, that's better. So I think it's really important to remember when creating any kind of culturally sensitive material for Native Americans that you have to remember that Native Americans don't all come from one tribe. There's over 500 different tribes alone here in the United States, and that doesn't even include the unrecognized tribes. And so for this project, since my project, me and Kylah's project is based here in Wyoming, we really wanted to make a piece of culturally sensitive material for that would work with both the Northern Arapaho and the Eastern Shoshone tribe. And so, okay. So for an example of culturally inappropriate material, you guys all know the little baby board books like A is for apple and B is for ball. This is a picture that just says I is for igloo, and it might not seem like it's offensive or inappropriate, but what most people don't know is that there's over 200 recognized tribes in Alaska, and that doesn't include the tribes that are unrecognized there. And so this is something that I guess it doesn't, it's pretty a stereotypical image, and it doesn't really represent any of those tribes' uniqueness at all. And so most Native American books, especially for children, they're really tribe specific. And this book, it's called Baby Learns About Seasons, and it is kind of oral history book, and it's a children's book that is about Navajo culture. And a book like this, for my project, for me and Kylah's project, it really wouldn't be practical to use with the Northern Arapaho or the Eastern Shoshone because it doesn't really apply to our culture at all. And so what we wanted to do, we wanted to create our own children's book for our project. And so to do this, we really wanted to make a generalized book so that it didn't really specifically apply to either the Northern Arapaho or the Eastern Shoshone. And that so maybe in the future down the road, maybe somebody would want to use the book for their own project, and they would still be able to use it with any Plains tribe, like maybe the Lakota or the Cheyenne or the Crow. And so when we first started trying to create a book, me and Kyliah and Dr. Guiberson, we went through a whole bunch of Native American children's books. And after we got done going through all of them for a while, we ended up all liking this book called Baby Rattlesnake. And it's by, Tay Atta, but it's inspired by Lynn Maroney. And so, of course, if you guys can see, I know this picture is really hard to see, but the words on the page are for a 3rd grade reading level, which of course isn't appropriate for the age range for our research project. We're doing toddlers from about 1 to 3. Yeah, from about 1 to 3. And so, of course, it's way too much reading for a little tiny toddler to even want to pay attention to. So what we wanted to do, we basically, since this book was already inspired by another book, we really liked the illustrations. So Journey did all of the illustrations for us, which you'll see here in a second. But we basically just broke down the wording so that it was a lot more simpler. And so this is the cover page. I don't know if you guys can see this all well, but these are some of the illustrations that Journey made, and they're really amazing. If you guys can see these are really good. I can't draw at all. So I was blown away when we got these pictures back from her. And so when we finally finished this book and had it printed, and we started using it this summer, afterwards, after it was already done, when I took Arapaho, the third level of Arapaho last fall semester, for my final project, I had to translate something. So since I already had this book and I had already been working on it, I thought, why not just translate this book into Arapaho? So Robin Lopez, she's back there. She really helped me a lot with this book. And so we went through this together, and we went through all the translations of every page over the semester. And then when we got closer towards the end of the semester, she sent it over to Wayne Seahair through email, and then he kind of just fixed the corrections or condensed some of the wording down more. But basically, I'll kind of explain the story real quick. I didn't put every page on here. But it's basically about a baby rattlesnake, and he doesn't have his rattle yet. And so he asks his mom, or he asks her, where's his rattle? And so she tells him he needs to wait, and he needs to have patience, and that he'll get it when she thinks he's ready to get it. And then so he goes on this journey, and he asks everybody he sees. He looks under rocks, and he asks everybody where his rattle is. And so when it gets towards the end of the story, his family and his mom, they finally decide that it's been long enough, that he's waited long enough, and he can finally have his rattle, and he's really happy. And then that's the end. And then so the third level of Arapaho that I took, if you guys were ever interested, the introduction class, it's called Beginning Indigenous Language, and it's the AIST 1010 class. And that's it. There's my sources and questions. Wolfstar. What did it take us? It took us the semester, right? It just took us a few months. But yeah, it didn't take us too long. Though I think the longest part was we were waiting for Journey to draw the pictures, but then she got them back to us. But she was in school too. We were all busy. Any more questions? Yeah.
So I've mainly been the one doing the data collection and been using the book during data collection, and a lot of the families respond to it really, really glad and just happy. And there was one family who knew the artist, and they're like, "Oh, look, this is Journey's pictures! Like, how cool!" And then all of the kids, either they're scared of the snake at first, and then they kind of warm up to it, or always when he gets his rattle, they get super excited, like, "Oh yeah, he finally got his rattle!" And so there's been a good response to it.
Any other questions? Yeah. Oh no. We have copies, but we got, what is that website called?
So the book, we made it using Pinhole Press. Is just the website we got it from. Not each kid gets their own book just because they're really expensive to make. But we are working alongside the Wyoming Indian Elementary School and then the Early Intervention program in Fort Washakie, and also with help from Joseph Henry from Great Plains Head Start. And so all of those different facilities are getting their own copy that we made for them. So they'll get a copy of the English with the Arapaho language translation. And we're also hoping to translate it into Eastern Shoshone as well. So.
Any other questions? No. All right, thank you.